New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello. Welcome. What a charming background we have today here on
Look at that. I think I screwed up.
All right. So we're here. And I'm just looking at my husband's hat. So let's just do the preliminary things. Take two. Hi, welcome to Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil.
And
we're your hosts for Rockin the Love. We're here every week, Wednesdays, midday, in the mid-country or the west. Or anyway, you'll find us different times, but 1 o'clock in mountains. And we talk about relationship. And right now, my wife's wondering why. Why is she in a relationship with this man? And mostly
this man in that weird hat. What is that?
This is my Grand Canyon hat. You know, I looked at other hats. I have like an Xfinity hat. I thought, well, you know, some people will be offended because, you know, there's a lot of people who don't like Xfinity and I don't want to wear that. And then I thought, well, I could wear my I'm Not Dead Yet hat. And I thought, well, that may not go so well with our topic, but it was an interesting hat to wear. And then I found this one, which kind of had the color scheme, which was more like the natural colors that I was wearing. So okay. I thought it might be good. It's the Grand Canyon. For those of you who don't know, the Grand Canyon is a national park in Arizona.
But the hat is, the picture's fine. It's just the hat comes up to like a point. It's very strange.
Well, that's because underneath the hat is the little point on my head.
All right. And so this is a show where we talk about love. Love. And love being another word for God, for spirit, for source, for universe, for all one, for all of those things, and knowing that at the end of the day, it is indeed love that changes lives, changes the world. So that's what we like to talk about here. And we talk about relationships, and we talk about our relationship to everything, not only each other, but our primary relationships, but also our relationship with
ourselves, with the planet, with our work, with our money, with all those different things, because everything in essence requires us to be in relationship, because we can't be somehow relating to something else without being in relationship. And all the time we're relating to something, because it's all about who we are and therefore who we are in the world.
Yes. So today our topic is what's in your wallet? What's in your wallet?
So, by the way, we do not anticipate any lawsuits from Capital One. However, we are borrowing the terms from them today. Go ahead.
So we're gonna talk about that. What's in your wallet, being and what that means, how we're interpreting that today.
Yes. We have a little different spin on it.
So welcome. Let us know you're out there. I want to say hello to, I'm gonna call it our secret society out there. We have these secret folks that watch on whatever platform they watch, but we don't know they're there. But people come up to me every week and tell me how they were there. So I'm going to say hello to our secret society
club.
Our secret viewers club. I think Alvin and Louise are the presidents of that club.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know if it's because they're embarrassed that they watch our show. Maybe they don't want other people to know. They're okay telling us, but
Okay, what's in your consciousness that you would say that?
I don't know. I'm feeling a little like somebody spiked my orange juice this morning, which is really weird. It's a weird feeling. Perhaps my oxygen is running low. I don't know.
Perhaps because as far as I know, you weren't having orange juice.
Exactly. That's how bad it is.
All right. So it's been an interesting week here in New Mexico. As you can see, if you are an avid viewer, I am home. Yay, home. Home is where the heart is. Although I tend to take it everywhere I go.
Good. By the way, we're back to the animal rescue studios in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
We are.
Instead of the human rescue studios that we were in last week at the hospital in New Mexico.
Right. So I'm home. All is well there. It's been a busy week. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It always is. And it's all about, for me, it's all about learning how to work through what is and mold that into what I think, quote, should be, and know what really is. And it's a dance, and sometimes it's a really challenging one for me anyway. I think
true.
it's less so for you, but it is for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I do think like it's June.
It is June. This is the first Wednesday of June.
It's the first Wednesday of
2025.
June. It's we're at summer now. We're going into summer.
We are halfway
year.
into the first quarter century, the quarter of this century. 25. That's wild.
It's really pretty crazy. I mean, it's great, but it's remember when you were a kid, like, or I'll speak for myself. When I was a kid, like, and you could, you marked the seasons differently, right? So, well, we never got out of school till June, but
right.
Nowadays it's a May thing. But like school ended, and then like there was this whole like excitement around like what was to come. It didn't matter what was to come. You knew it involved summer and popsicles and
not going to school.
Not going to school. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Family vacation sometimes. Just, gosh, and it always freaks me out now when we're like, oh, it's August 2nd. The kids go to school tomorrow. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's a month early.
Yeah.
What happened to the rest of their summer?
I know. They got cheated.
Well, I think, global warming has messed us all up. Nobody even knows when they should be going to school, because really it makes no sense to be going in the middle of summer to schools which struggle with air conditioning. It just is nuts. But, it's what we do.
Yeah. So anyway, it's June, and that's what's going on here. It's exciting that some people are summer vacationing because we have all kinds of people coming to visit us.
That's true. We have a big month of visitations.
We do.
Or visitors. I guess visitors is more accurate. Visitations.
That's
another show.
It's another path. Yeah, we do. We have people coming to visit from California. Probably California. I don't know, but a lot of different people. It's like all of a sudden everybody was like, okay, let's go there.
And we're really looking forward to it. We're looking forward to having a lot of fun. We get to hang out, do different things, and also just be hosts for people that are coming to Albuquerque and want to look around a little bit.
Yep.
It's
We're also excited because next week at our center, we've been doing a thing called Solid Grounds with all kind of musical shows. Musical acts and things. And it's actually on New Thought Media Network on Friday nights. It'll be our 1-year anniversary. And that's super exciting. We're having all kinds of different people coming, so tune in if you get a chance, because this should be a super fun time.
Can you believe that was a year ago we started that?
No.
It's crazy.
But life is like that. And that's, we've talked about that, how time is moving. And I think, I also think because people are so, we the people do different, so many different things that time goes faster because you're not totally focused on one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and the fact that I think time is relative. Time is relative, and it feels like it goes faster because I have a whole different perspective of how much time I've been here in this life, and so it's that's how it changes for me.
Very deep, Mr. Olmstead.
It's very deep, and we'll go dig it up later.
Okay.
So what's up? What's next?
All right, it's time for the good news.
Oh my God, the good news. Can you believe it? We have some good news for you today.
We do.
We do.
We
You have
always
some,
do.
I know.
We do.
And I have some.
This is our segment where we talk about what's good in the world, because we know there's so many good things happening out there that we never get a chance to hear about. So we like to share what people are finding from around the world and what's happening. So I can tell you're ready.
I got my glasses on. I'm ready to go. So what I want to talk about is, and when you hear this, you'll think, yeah, hello.
I do that all the time with you.
So in England, this hospital introduced a co-sleeping cot into their neonatal unit for babies. So get this brain thought here, so that twins can be put together in the sleeping cot, and they have the ability to be treated individually, but they're together. And the first kids that were put in this were born the first part of January, and they were at 29 weeks. They'd been struggling since 20 weeks, and they finally were born at 29 weeks, which is early, considerably early. And they were 1 pound, 3 ounces, and 2 pounds. So just from that, that we're talking about kids that were not in great shape. Basically, the parents were told they will not make it. And they put them in the co-sleeping thing, and they just continued to grow and thrive. And every day they were like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so, clearly being in relationship, you had these two kids who were used to being together. And so without that stress of being torn apart, it changed their ability to heal, to move forward, to continue to grow.
Right.
And I just thought that was quite fascinating. And one of the coolest things, I think, is that the grandparents of the kids have started a GoFundMe, and the GoFundMe is if also GoFundMe, and also they're doing other things to raise money, is so that the hospital can purchase more of these to have them available when needed.
Nice.
And I thought that was pretty cool. But the families are like, oh my gosh, we were so convinced that, they were told at 20 weeks that the babies probably the babies would probably be stillborn.
Wow.
That's how, quote, dire it was.
That's amazing. I mean, and yeah, it seems like a no-brainer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And what, we're in the 21st century and we just figured this out? I mean, the 21st century since the Christian era. That doesn't count all the time before it, although probably they had it figured out at some point then. We just don't know about it.
Right. All right. Well, that is good news, and that is very hopeful for many to come. My story is about a teen who rushed to work instead of partying after his graduation. And what happened was he went to his graduation and he got his award, and uh, he got awards and his medals and all of the things. And he got a message somehow, probably because those damn phones kids don't take out of their hands, but that his job was backed up and they were short at Burger King where he worked. And so he left graduation immediately, hopped in his car, went to work, clocked in, worked his shift, and blah, 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 blah. And one of the moms, this all happened in Georgia, in Atlanta, or somewhere in Georgia, was so touched by the fact that he left and didn't party with everybody and had that kind of work ethic that she thought, well, I'm going to start him a GoFundMe. And her daughter worked with him. And so she started him a GoFundMe. And from that GoFundMe, she wanted to raise like $20,000 or so that, for college. And right now the GoFundMe is at like $187,000 for him.
He's got some more college choices.
He's got, he's got some options. It'll be interesting to see how long he stays at Burger King. However, Burger King donated $10,000 to him for a scholarship, and also because they wanted to reward the mom who had, done this, taken this on herself, and her daughter worked at Burger King. They also awarded her daughter $10,000 for the scholarship for college funding. And so I just thought it was a beautiful story again about, just how one thing touches another. These are the stories we know about that sparked from that. But, for Burger King to get involved, and for, the college funds and all the people that have donated to give him that kind of a fund. And it's go ahead.
Yeah, I think it speaks to something even deeper, and that is we hear about how incredibly damaged the generation is that's coming up right now by screens and by COVID and by all of this stuff. And the reality is that there may be true to some degree, but it doesn't mean that everybody has been all of their sense of loyalty and duty and all of that stuff has been knocked away, or even just their sense of compassion for the other people working. Well, and I so easily I could see any number of people, including many adults, who would just go, well, too bad.
Well, sure, they'd be like, no, this is my day to party.
Right.
This is my celebration. I worked hard for this, which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. And that perhaps it's true. That's what they need. But for him, I mean, what you said, people left notes with some of the money, and somebody said, your work ethic and grind is contagious. We are rooting for you and investing in your future. And so I just think that, it's inspiring, and it also helps me and, people to remember.
Well, I think, what it makes me think of is the game we often play with people where we ask them to volunteer. And, in a sense, we get asked to step up all the time.
Right.
Different times things step up, and we have no idea what's going to happen. And it's so easy to assume that, well, I don't want to do that. There's nothing in it for me.
Right.
And when people change their attitude to, it doesn't matter if there's anything in it to me, you never know what shows up.
Right.
I mean, this kid did not go in to an afternoon shift at Burger King thinking he was going to come home with more than, $50-$60 in his wallet. That was it. That was all he was going to get out of it. You know what I mean? I mean, it wasn't like he was thinking there was $187,000 on the table. He
Right.
just went knowing that people.
Well, he went knowing that people needed his help.
Right.
You know, it wasn't about, oh yeah, let me make another, $50 today. It just
Right.
was something. This is important. This is important, and yeah, and so it's just a great thing to remember, and sometimes how we prioritize things, because I know for me, I could put things off, and I could justify, over and over about how and why and if I should do something, like going to do something fun or going to do something work
Work-related.
Uh-huh. So
yeah, and it's not that you always choose the work-related thing, but it's about having an open mind and being willing to show up where needed.
Right.
Or where asked to be.
Right.
Pardon me, I am having
so that is
excuse me.
Welcome. Go ahead. I was
just having a little burping issue, and I apologize.
Okay. Well, on that note, go take care of any little issues you're having. Get a cup of coffee, get a drink, come back, join us. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back and talk about what's in your wallet. And we'd love for you to join in with us. So get your questions and ideas ready, and we'll see you right back here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Hello, we are back on Rockin the Love, and we are having an interesting challenge because we can't see our screen. So we know you're out there, and when you comment, I guess for the moment we're going to ask our producer Michael Mangus to jump in and read us the comment, or let us know. So.
Oh, you mean I'm supposed to work this afternoon?
Yeah, we'll give you an extra bonus.
Well, like I am enjoying my coffee.
Well, either that,
doing whatever that I do in the background.
either that, or
And
you.
and now you want me to do more.
I know. Well, the
You sound
other
like Brzezinski.
the other option is you can run the show for the next 5 minutes. We can log out and log back in and be right back so that we can see and do our own thing.
Why? So you guys cannot see the screen at all.
We can't find it.
It's gone from our screen.
We've
So
looked around.
you would have to like take us out of the studio and then we
Okay.
come back in like 2 minutes.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Oh, wait, maybe we found it.
There it is. We got it.
We're good. We're all
Oh,
good.
do you see me?
We're here. We see you. We see
Okay.
us. We see other comments. We see everything.
Okay,
We're back.
good.
The moment
Okay.
of panic is over.
On Friday evening, I went ahead and right before the show, my internet took a dive. And so this is like 8:00. And so I had upgraded my internet that week to 1 gig. I doubled my internet and I thought, everything was great. It took me half an hour to get back on the air. And then my co-host says, he says, Reverend Michael is pretty unflappable, but I went ahead and I poked him and said, did you pay the internet bill? And he said that I said some things which were not exactly ministerial. Because he was the second person to ask me. The first person was my wife, Diana, who says, did you pay the internet bill? And the answer is yes, I did. All right.
Excellent.
What's in your wallet?
What's in your wallet?
Okay. All right.
All right. So what is in your wallet? So what does that mean to you?
To me, it's about what is it? What, gosh, I don't know. So when you have your wallet, you put things in it that are important to you to some degree, right? Things that you need to have with you that you believe. And so when I say what's in your wallet, it's like, what am I carrying around with me? What am I thinking? What am I believing?
Right.
About my life?
Yeah. So I would just add to that, what's in your wallet? I think the slogan, started with Capital One, and actually it was for them, to get you to get a credit card, and so we do want our important credit cards and, the things of value that we carry around with us. Right. And like you said, Gil, whether you have photos of loved ones or you have, different things, or like if somebody gives you, at least in the olden days, if somebody handed you a piece of paper with the phone number on it, instead of putting it immediately into your phone, you put it in your wallet. It was an important place to store things.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what we do in our human system, right? Is we store things, so what's in your wallet? What are you carrying around with you that you want to, and is it what you want? Are you carrying what you want in your wallet? Or do you have, an expired belief, it's run its course, it's had its time, and it doesn't belong there. And so that's the question today.
So I have something really fascinating that I found, and this is out of Stanford, that they did some exploration on how does the human mind shape reality. And I thought this was really fascinating because, well, that's in fact what we say in the thought, is that your mind shapes your reality. What you think changes things. And so in this article, they say probably the best known way that your mind shapes reality is the placebo effect, where people get better if they simply believe they're being treated for a disease. For ages, that was viewed as just an experimental hassle. We have to do this because we have to make sure that the drug's actually effective, blah, blah, blah. And doctors are starting to rethink that and realize that placebos actually are their own path to better health. And then it goes on from there, and it says, it goes beyond medicine per se. People that believe doing physical work in a job counts as exercise live longer lives. People, when they hear that they drank a milkshake and that was indulgent, they start to feel fuller because it was too much. If you tell them that they just had a drink filled with caffeine, their heart rate goes up or their blood pressure goes up.
The power of suggestion.
So yeah, it's somewhere between the power of suggestion and the placebo effect and your mind. It is what am I taking in? And on the one hand, I go, well, you're just being silly. But the other side of that is, that's exactly what we talk about. Is it mine to believe what I see, or is it mine to see what I believe? And you take that to the next step, and it just continues to get more interesting when we talk about how this kind of thing works. I have another one, but I gotta get to it for you. Oh yeah, there it is.
Well, okay.
We'll do it later.
Well, go ahead. Can we talk about this one?
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that? So how does that show up? How are you saying that shows up? Are you saying, because one is you used the doctor example, and that's somebody else telling you something. So
Right.
Are you saying the things we tell ourselves?
Well, I think really it is the things that we believe. The whole thing, for instance, with the placebo effect, is people are told they're being given something that will help them. This will help you.
Right.
Okay. And so no matter what it is, they take it and assume that it's supposed to help them. And so their body decides to allow itself to release some of the pain. Whatever it is, the body does whatever that placebo is supposed to do. And of course, they use that to test between that and giving you something that supposedly had something in it that would actually do something, like that had an enzyme or a protein or something to actually affect your body. And the thing is, when we think something, when we believe something is, then it begins to outpicture in our life. If I believe that life is really hard, the effect for me is that I begin experiencing life as hard. And it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what I think, oh, it doesn't have to be that way, whatever. What matters is the thoughts that I take into belief.
Right.
If I just go, oh, who knows? I don't think this drug will work for me anyway. Then even the drug probably won't work for you.
Right. Right. So it's the mental equivalent that you're holding.
It's the mental equivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, which is why my charming stay at the hospital, like, everybody was great and everybody was fine and everybody was doing what everybody does at a hospital. And, my rapport with the doctors and things like that, like, I didn't find that they said anything inspiring or what's the word I want, supportive or motivating to move to another space. Except when the doctor said I had superpowers.
Yes.
No, but seriously, I at least then thought on some level she understood.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she was making a joke or not, it didn't matter. It still was saying that I defied, what their normal thing was, that
And why would you
should be happening.
why would you defy the normal, do you think?
What does that mean?
I mean, why would it be that Robin Rice defies the normal versus somebody else?
Because my belief of how I hold my health is one particular way. It's not to have any diagnosis of X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you're asking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because you don't. I walk in and tell you the car is on fire, and you go, "Oh, are you sure? What can we do about it?"
I don't.
Okay, but it's like
yeah,
that.
I go, is
It's
everybody
like
okay?
that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't throw me into a loop.
Yeah, you don't go crazy. You go, "Oh my God," blah, 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 and run around and scream and do stuff. You either like pull out the fire extinguisher and hand it to me, or you go, something. But you don't just go into a tizzy around what's been said, what's been brought to your attention.
And I let me pause and give some praise to my
My husband? Oh no, I'm sorry. I missed that. I was wrong.
No, my 4th, 5th, 6th grade science teacher, Mr. Phipps, because really, I don't remember a lot about science class, but I do remember when he said, a thing is what it is. For whatever reason, that's my big lesson, my big takeaway from science.
Thing is a thing.
A thing is what it is. Like, you can't make it anything else. So for me, if somebody says the car's on fire, I can't change that. I can't stop that. I can't make it not on fire, for the most part. So a thing is what it is. And so I somehow that, whatever, whether it taught me, whether it led me, whether it reminded me, whatever, whether, I always think you got to deal with what is. So that's where that comes from.
And
Thank you, Mr. Phipps.
Well, and I think what you're not saying is that a thing is a thing. It doesn't then have 15,000 implications that we have to start worrying about. Right. It just is what it is, and we can take it one step at a time. We don't have to go, well, if the car explodes, that means that it's probably going to burn the house down, and the house burns down, we're not going to have a place to live. And we're not going to have a place to live. I don't know what we're going to do. And our dogs will probably escape because the fence will go up, or the firemen will break down the door. I mean, it'll just,
right.
All these things that could be based on a thing that is, right?
Yes.
And so sometimes it's a thing that is. It's not 42 different ways that it can possibly outpicture. It might outpicture in one or more of those, or it may not at all. It may be that, you get out there and the Kleenex in the center of the console are on fire. I mean,
right.
Right? I mean, technically the car's on fire, but that's not.
So, but back to our show topic, that's what so it's how we hold it is what's in our wallet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not if we hold a space of panic, if we hold a space of doom, oh God, this is, bad things always happen to me. Or if we, how we hold crisis in our life or whatever, then if you come in and go, the car's on fire, I'm going to react differently. Like, oh my God, I knew it. I shouldn't have done this. Or, well, if I'm carrying around that place of it's always my fault, or, so I think the important thing is, like, what are those core beliefs about ourselves, right? That we're carrying around with us, that we're not willing, we don't leave home without them.
Mm-hmm.
So anywhere we go, if somebody says, wow, you look stunning today, you can immediately turn it into, or is that, if you're paranoid, Are they for real? What do they want? Da, 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 da. You know,
Right.
or if you're not worthy, I don't really look stunning. All I did was blah blah blah. You know, so what is it that I guess gives that space in our heads for the extra chatter to chime in and say the alternate or the other thought that's going on, right?
Well, and what is that other thought? You know, when somebody comes in and says X is wrong, and you go, okay, and you think, yeah, well, whatever that means. I don't know what they mean, and I don't need to know what they mean, and I don't even want to know what they mean, because I don't believe that that's how my body functions. I don't believe that that's how my life functions. I don't, you know, oh my God, you lost your job. That's horrible. Well, no, not necessarily. I'm not going to go into believing that losing a job is bad, per se. Perhaps.
And there was a time when you would have.
Yes.
I mean, speaking to you, there was a time when you would have. So the question is, how do you move through that? How do you get to where you can really have that? I mean, what do you think gets called in? I mean, I would say on one level it's faith,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that gets called in to usher you into a higher perspective.
Well, to a place where I believe something that I cannot see. I believe something. And both I believe something more, and also I don't believe just because. You know, I don't just, whatever it is, take it for face value.
You don't take it for,
or for the value that I give it. I trust that I don't always know what it is, and I could give it lots of meaning, but that doesn't make any of that meaning any more viable than any other meaning.
right.
You know,
Which is key. And it's key to, you know, nobody's saying not to listen to a medical professional or
Right.
to the voice in your head or to someone else who may point something else out. Obviously, each individual has to discern that. We're not by no means telling you that. And figuring out how to discern that, how to know when to listen and when to, you know, when to believe or when to change your actions or when to not listen. You know, when to not listen. Because for a big portion of our lives, anything that we've said, you know, whether it's the I'm not worthy or I'm not enough or whatever it is, has served us to that point.
mm-hmm.
And so when do we know if it's, you know, how to tango with it, you know?
Well, I believe that for me, it's a matter of shifting into knowing, to believing and knowing and feeling into what it is that I know is real, what I believe, rather than taking in the stuff that goes against what I believe, if you will, rather than taking in the thought. So, you know, I'm struggling right now with the spiritual center and our abundance and our income and all of that. And I keep thinking, okay, what's wrong with me? What's going on? And I'm realizing that I've got to live into the feeling that we have all that we need, and it is there. And I've got to know that, even though it's not visibly present. I don't know where it could come from logically. But that doesn't mean that I have to go into all the fear and worry about what's next because of that. I have to go into the place of really knowing if it's going to manifest, I have to stand in the place of believing that it's there. If I'm going to believe that your body is functioning perfectly, I have to stand in the place of knowing that that's the case.
Yeah, I think, you know, yes, I agree. And I think it's kind of a tricky situation in that believing is more than just being able to say, I believe this is true, to repeat it 70 times 7, to, to stand in that, I don't know, in living into that place. I think it's because it's more than that. You've got to, it's really a mindset in which everything else in your life gets adapted to it as well. You know what I mean? Like if you go, I believe the center is thriving, and I believe this and I believe that, and then you're sitting in your office and checking to see if any checks have come in, or looking at the bank balance still going, oh, not yet. Oof, what are we going to do? It's about continuing your life and continuing to look for the resources from bringing that energy, so that when you do find a donor or a scholarship or a grant or whatever it is, you meet it with that energy of people wanting to play along.
Right. You meet it with, oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad this is here. When somebody walks in and says, we really want to rent from you, you say, yeah, great. Let's talk about it. Figure it out. And let's make it work. You can't, but also I can't live in the, I don't know how this is possibly ever going to work out.
No.
Because when I live in that, then what I'm not giving the universe any indication of what needs to manifest, even though it's all out there. And I'm literally setting up the blocks to whatever may be there for me.
Well,
because what I'm believing is I shouldn't have it. The center shouldn't have it. The community shouldn't have it. I shouldn't have it. Whatever that shouldn't is.
Right. Yeah. And I was going to say, and you're saying that you don't have your faith in spirit. You don't have your faith in the knowingness that it's all taken care of on some level, that this is the divine path.
Right. Do I? And here's the thing, what's the difference between thought and belief? And what I was finding on that is that, belief is a particular thought pattern that you've adopted as true. Thoughts themselves are thoughts, but it's ones that you grab hold of and begin to believe that they're true. Like, I can't win. I'll turn that into my belief. I can't win. And you were just saying last night, remember how we won everything on the cruise ship that one time. And we kept entering every silly contest that they had, knowing that we were going to win something, and we did. And it wasn't so much the winning itself. It was just the going in knowing we deserve this as much as anyone else. There's no reason why we shouldn't get this. And I think for me, a lot of the time, I think of the reasons why, so-and-so is probably more deserving, or whatever that thing is.
I think even more than the deserving thing, because the deserving is the one I think is not overplayed.
Overplayed. Okay.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, for people that have been spiritual for a while, I think it's overplayed. I mean, but even more for the thought of, well, it doesn't have to be me. Like all the things with the auction the other day.
I'm polite.
Yeah, you're polite. Like somebody else should have it. Somebody else should have it. And we give it away because we're like, oh yeah, it'll happen for me again. Which it's interesting to find the balance in that. We did a raffle the other day at church for all this stuff, and one person kept winning over and over and over. So they kept putting their thing back, and another ticket of theirs would come up. And then somebody else won like the grand prize, and they're like, oh, I already had, I already have enough of this artwork. I don't need to win this. Put it back. Give it to somebody else. People kept giving it back. And so that's just interesting, right? Like, where do we just defer because we want to be nice?
Well, I wanted to know.
I just want to say I took my prize.
I was going to note that you in no way were nice. You just took yours, damn it.
I won. I took it.
But that was an interesting demonstration as well. It's like, well, thank you very much.
Well, and don't think I didn't think, oh, Christ, I'm the minister's wife. I should put it back in. Because it had already been happening with the other person. I was like, no, I'm just taking it, But anyway, this is a big topic, and it's interesting. But what is in your wallet? What are you carrying around? What, and what do you want to let go of? God knows, chances are you don't carry cash in your wallet anymore. So you don't need as much space because we have so many credit and debits and blah, blah, blah cards that we work from. So what do you want to get rid of? What do you want to let go of? What did you want to say?
Well, I think what we really need to be thinking about is what's showing up in our lives. And then that needs to begin informing us, what are we believing about our life? If I'm saying every day, I am abundant, but I'm really thinking, I really have a belief deep down that I don't deserve it, then it may not be showing up. If it's not showing up, then what is the real belief? And what do I need to do to get in touch with that so that I can work with that? If why do I believe I don't deserve it? What's that about? Oh, well, my family sent me away when I was 16 and I'm not loved, and whatever that thing is, right? And then that's what I have to go back and go, okay, so maybe that's true, but that's just a thing. That's just something that happened. It doesn't have to mean I'm not worthy, right?
Right.
That idea. And so we go back and we find those things. We find where whatever that belief is being supported, or maybe I've been fired from my job, or, and so now I don't feel like I can't really get a job because, I'm not good enough for jobs.
Yeah. So there's a lot of nuances to it, right? So I think that's what I would say is to take that, now's the time to look at that. Do a little end of spring cleaning and move into summer lighter, and just pay attention. Pay attention to where your thoughts go and what comes up for you and whose voice you hear. I know, sometimes I hear other relatives with things they've said to me along the way or whatever. But I'll tell you, for me, honestly, in the hospital, when the doctor said, you must have superpowers, that was when I felt acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, that's the truest thing she said, because she didn't know. She couldn't make the diagnosis that she normally makes because it wasn't the same pattern.
Right. There were this thing and this thing and this thing, but the things that should indicate how those problems exist or why they exist or
if they're going to reoccur,
or if they really are existing or whatever, weren't there.
Right. And so, yeah. And so for me, I don't like anyone dictating my life. When I know that there's something far bigger in control. And again, I am not by any means condoning not to pay attention to medical diagnosis and all of that. But I just am saying, when you know in your heart, in your center, in your being, where your power is coming from, then you can use it in all kinds of ways. And so I just invite you to do that this week, to take that out into your week, and see really where you can change your thinking, change your life. Thank you, Wayne Dyer. Where you can do that. And I know it sounds trite and we've heard it all over the place, but Are you putting it into play? And is there something small you can do? Even in a belief about, being hungry and needing to go to the refrigerator in that moment for food. Is that true? Can you sit back and wait, or whatever it is you think you need to do? So enough of this.
So I want to acknowledge Wayne. Thanks for being here with us. And yes, I'll be happy to shake your hand if we ever meet somewhere in person. And I appreciate you being on with us, and appreciate everyone that's been on with us today. I hope that you got a little something out of it. Because by gosh, this whole idea is hugely related to how we are in relationship with ourselves.
Yes. And Wayne, if you decide to go visit us in Banff, when everybody's there, I'll bet you'll not only get handshakes, but you'll get some hugs too. So hopefully you'll come to our convention in the summer in Banff. But for now, we are Robyn and Gil signing out. And join us next week, and we're going to have some great shows this month. We're going to have Shay here to talk about radical self-care. We're going to have all kinds of things going on all month. So just join us and rock the love. Rock the love as you, wherever you go, whatever you do, take it out into the world and make it big and juicy and yummy. Thank you. See you next week.
Rock it, rock it.